Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at one of the older raids, the Battle of Dazar'alor Raid, which is part of the BFA. Now you should be able to start soloing these raids, and this is a pretty nice one, majorly featuring a cool mount, but also some pretty cool transmog and things that we'll take a look at. Now of course we'll start with how to get there and item level and things, but yeah, let's head on. Getting to the area is pretty straightforward. You should be able to teleport directly to Zuldazar from any major hub city. If you cannot, it is likely because you do not have a character that has hit the level 60 yet. If you have not done that, then you probably shouldn't be looking at this guide, as you won't be strong enough to do the dungeon, or raid I should say. So rather then start your Chromie time walking by doing BFA. But basically all you have to do is head to Zuldazar, because in Zuldazar, in the literal city of Zuldazar, or right at the back end of it I should say, is the Battle to Dazar'alor. So the entrance is here at the very back end of the city. For Alliance players, getting here is a little bit more difficult because you won't be able to teleport to Zuldazar. You're going to instead have to teleport to Borealis, speak to the ship captain in Borealis, and then catch a boat to Zuldazar, which can be difficult if you haven't got far enough in the BFA campaign. So you may want to consider doing that, otherwise just rather do this on a Horde character, it's just a lot easier. Now in terms of rewards for this raid, obviously, you know, first things first, let's just talk about the mount. So the mount is G.M.O.D, and he drops from the high Tinker Mekkatorque, and it's a pretty cool mount. It looks a lot like a Warhammer kind of suit. Really cool, and I think ultimately is really quite swag. There's some cool weaponry and things I think that most players probably will dig. Not saying that it's anything too crazy. But yeah, there's definitely some really cool like, you know, items and stuff. On the mythic difficulty you can get the Glacial Tidestorm mount from Jaina, which is really cool. So it's one of those few raids that actually gives you two mounts. Of course the drop rate for these is very low nowadays, but I mean they are really awesome. So I think it's really cool. Then of course there are 3 little pets that you can get, all really nice. And then of course you have your sets. So in terms of your sets, so to say, I think, you know, you always have to consider like all your different sets that you can get. But basically I think, you know, the Battle for Dazar'alor sets are okay. I want to say I don't think they are anything amazing. Like, I think some of them are really cool. Like, I think the warrior one is really awesome. I think look, this was back when they were doing role specific sets, not class specific sets, like they've gone back to doing. So it was a little bit of a shame, at least, you know, back then. So I think, like, for a lot of players it's like they're cool, but it's also kind of like, okay, well that's rogues, you know. And then you look at like hunters, and hunters, for example, have, I believe, pretty much the same set. So, or maybe hunters don't. There's something, as far as I know, they are class based. I mean, they are role based. So yeah, warriors have the same. I think then the death knights will have the same. Yeah, so just depends on your armor type, but most of them have the same. So like there you can see the mage set, and I believe the warlock set is the same. So yeah, only real shame about it. So the actual raid itself is very straightforward. The bosses are pretty much in a linear line as it goes through the city and then into the palace, and the palace itself again is a pretty straight line, to which then you obviously kind of make your way through it. So it's actually a very straightforward raid, which I think personally it makes it quite simple. Of course, please remember to have your raid difficulty set to mythic, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. You're ready to go. For reference, my character has 614 item level, his full 4-piece set, and other than that, it's pretty much as good as it gets. I don't think you need this item level to take this on, but it's just a good point of reference for you. So the first boss is Frida Iron Bellows. Now, usually I would say, of course, be aware of this mechanic, this mechanic, this mechanic, and this mechanic. But no, there's nothing really to worry about for her and for most of these bosses in general. So you should be pretty much good to go. Melee, non-melee, whichever one it is. And yeah, obviously it makes life a lot simpler. So navigating to the next boss, Grong. Very simple. You will have to wait a little bit after killing Frida, because there is like a little RP that has to happen, and it surprisingly takes like a minute or two. So don't panic if you're like, oh, I can't walk through, what's going on. Literally just wait like 2 minutes. Eventually Talanji will speak and you'll be able to kind of push through. So yeah, don't really worry about it too much. So yeah, next we obviously take on Grong. Again, nothing crazy here. Super duper simple. I don't think anyone's going to have any major issues with good old Grong, so you should be good to go. Nothing major here that you have to do. Just nuke him down, slap him down, and then head along your merry way. You loot the rewards from the chest behind Grong, so don't like wonder where it is. It's behind the chest from him, and then of course, you know, he gets revived, and then they're like, wow, you know, wow, they bring him back, and then he jumps around. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Next, you have to move down and around. So you have to come around the front here and then move all the way up and around. It's not anything too crazy, but yeah, just again, basically make your way to the next boss. Relatively simple stuff. Shouldn't be anything crazy. Look, for Manta Ray Flame Fist, again, you're really not looking at anything too crazy. There's the two of them. It's really nothing wild. You shouldn't have any major problems. Again, none of the bosses so far are going to have a mechanic that you have to actively participate in, otherwise you're not going to be able to defeat them. So just continue to cleave them down and you should be pretty much good to go. That's really about it. There will be a section where you have to deal with a barrier. All you have to do is pick up one of the green orbs around the map, and then once you do, run it to the barrier and just insert it and then defeat it. You only have to do one orb, so don't panic. It's very straightforward and super duper simple. Next will be to end the actual palace. This is pretty simple. You just walk up the stairs, click the door, and then move on. It's very, very straightforward. Here, obviously, we then on to taking a couple other bosses that we'll fight along the way to King Rajasthan. So shouldn't be anything too crazy for you here. The first thing you'll do is you'll speak to a toy. What this will do is this will transport you back, and in this situation you will then obviously take on some new enemies and bosses. So you'll be teleported, you'll know, because you'll be in the throne room by Rakistan, but then you can go through and obviously speak to a toy and you should be pretty much good to go. So yeah, you'll get to the top of the stairs after fighting the undead. Then you want to drop down and you're going to now be inside of the area. And now you're going to go and take on the Opulence boss. So yeah, pretty straightforward really. The Opulence boss is really nothing crazy, so you should be able to take him out with pretty relative ease. Continue forward and you should then basically move on, and you're going to want to head back up through to the lower sanctum. So just move directly forward from the boss and continue onwards. The next boss you'll face is the Conclave of the Chosen, which honestly is really a super duper straightforward boss where you'll take on different aspects. But yeah, pretty much super straightforward, fighting a couple enemies at a time, and yeah. Once you've taken out that boss, then it's pretty simple. Just move on up these stairs and you'll finally head back to the Walk of the King, which will take you to fight King Rakastan. After a lot of RP, you will be able to take on King Rakastan. And yeah, honestly, yeah, really, again, super straightforward fight here. So I don't think there's anything you need to worry about, if I'm being entirely honest with you. So yeah, once we are done with King Rakastan, next we're going to move on out to the ports of Zandazar. This is pretty straightforward. You're just going to head out here and then immediately you're pretty much going to fight High Tinker Mekkatorque. So yeah, pretty straightforward. For High Tinker Mekkatorque, obviously this is the first mount drop potentially of the dungeon. Nothing too crazy here. Again, a very straightforward boss with not any real mechanics that you need to be magnifiably aware of. Obviously, maybe you can take others, mobs if you want, but yeah, pretty straightforward to be honest with you. There is going to be a part where you're just going to be kind of chased around by the robots, but honestly speaking, it's not really anything too crazy. So yeah, you'll be chased around during that part, but yeah, hopefully you'll get lucky enough to pick up the mount. But unfortunately for me, you can see I didn't get so lucky this time around. Getting to the next boss, the Stormwall blockade, is actually really simple. So all you have to do is just literally run on from Mekkatorque down the stairs. So this one, and honestly, not too hard to get to. I think most players shouldn't have a problem with it. To begin the next boss, you're going to take the pterodax and you're going to jump from ship to ship. And during this time, you're going to want to take out the unit that's on the ship. And that will enable you to begin the boss fight. So take out those units, click the teleporter, jump to the other ship, take out the other one, and then you can head back to the boss, which is super important. Once you've taken out both, Lamia will cast Catastrophic Tides. So Catastrophic Tides needs to be interrupted, otherwise you're going to take a lot of damage and be very injured. But other than that, you should be good to go. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So just interrupt that. If you don't, you take a lot of damage and you probably die. But yeah, just do that and you're good to go. The last thing you'll do is a boat will spawn after a bit more RP. You'll speak to Captain Zadari and say after them. This will then cause more RP to occur. There's a lot of RP in this raid, by the way, just for people who don't know, like there's a ton of RP in this raid. So yeah, be prepared for that, basically. Once you eventually get past all the RP, you'll be able to take on Lady Jaina Proudmoore, and you'll be able to finish off your long journey through this very straightforward but ultimately quite long raid, which I think is not bad, but something that's just very interesting. Basically, you will have to eventually jump off the ship and move to a little ice island. So you jump off the right of the ship and you'll walk through fog, and Jaina will be at the back of this arena. But it's not a mechanic that's so complex that I think you need a breakdown of it. Because really all you do is find her and then blow her up. So just jump off the right hand side of the ship and you're pretty much good to go. And that is that. That is the raid done. All nice, claw and easy. A very straightforward raid. And I think for the most part players shouldn't have a massive problem completing it. And hey, then you can go take a look at your BFA list, and yeah, enjoy the fact that you have now mythically completed the Battle of Dazar'alor. That's it from me. Obviously, out of interest, we always usually take a look at how much money we make out of these things, so we can take a look at that. I mean, the money wasn't bad. We made around 1,200 gold from the raid as well, which isn't terrible, but it's not a really time efficient strategy. But hey, pretty good stuff. That's it from me. See you guys next time. Bye.